convening of the Broadband Hui and the first in-person convening of the Broadband Hui. We want to thank Kaua'i Public Television for helping us record all these sessions and recording the Broadband Hui. These videos will be available on KDV's website. You can find them if you guys want to write them down and watch them later. They will be at kdv.com/bbhuike. kdv.com/bbhuike. So we're going to go into our Broadband Hui meeting led by Bert Lund. After that, for everyone who's here attending with us, at 11 o'clock we'll have a break and refreshments. Then we're going to go to our breakout points and we'll go to that part. First, we're going to start out with a video that's going to introduce the Broadband Hui, and then we'll have Bert take over. Thanks, everyone. And I'm Nate Prescott, the business specialist for the County of Kauai. Sorry about that.
So to celebrate our 150th convening today, we don't have Elvis, but we have a special presentation by DJ Riley. He's going to be kicking us off with some cool, smooth jazz.
It's a song called Sound of Silence. Here we go.
Let me know when you're ready. I can start it off. You ready? Set, go.
Click to join the Zoom with video to play among the stars. Let me see what's in the chat from Jupiter and Mars. Got stuff to say. Raise your hand. Time moving. Hey, you're muted. Your screen with sound so we can sing forevermore. You can hear it again, but you must enable the record. You gotta know the recording's true. Now I can listen and learn from you. Fill my Zoom with song, with music playing around the sun. You can sing to celebrate with joy and lots of fun. 150, what a groove. 150. Oh, 150. Congrats to the Broadband Hui. Boom.
My name is Bert Lum. I'm the State Broadband Coordinator in the Hawaii Broadband and Digital Equity Office, which is part of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. And you know, in 2018, I got hired on in DBED to really look at some key broadband infrastructure. And as time went on, you know, we were part of the whole establishment of the Broadband Hui, and this came about in March of 2020, and really was the kind of the community foundation upon which we brought together key stakeholders and looked at what kinds of resources were coming into Hawaii to help address the issues around the digital divide. So it's been a great journey, a great ride, and we're still only at the sort of beginning stages of that. And I think the work that we do in digital equity is really gonna start to build the capacity and the ability to reach the goals that we set for ourselves for digital equity. Aloha, everybody. My name is Bert Lum. I'm with the Hawaii Broadband and Digital Equity Office here in Hawaii. And I want to thank everybody that's involved with doing digital equity work across the country. And for the purpose of representing what's going on in Hawaii, we wanted to provide some representation of our broadband hui, who have been meeting for the last 147 convenings since March of 2020. And what you're seeing here are some of the committed community stakeholders that have been with us on this journey to implement broadband and digital equity throughout the state of Hawaii. And what I wanted to do is give them a quick chance to say aloha and give a little representation of who is on the broadband hui. And I'm going to start with Shola, and then Shola, you can hand it off to Riley. And they're our co-conveners on the Big Island.
Aloha, I'm Shola Kahiapo Trevino, and I'm the Digital Equity Specialist for the County of Hawaii in Research and Development. I'm so happy to be here to uplift the voice of our lahui for our people here on the Pai'aina of Hawaii for our state. And I mahalo everything that everyone is doing. Pass over to you, Riley.
Yeah, we want to make the digital world available to all, so everyone can click to join the Zoom and let them play among the stars. Let them see what's in the chat from Jupiter and Mars. All right, Bert, back to you.
Oh, right on. Hey, show me those eggs. I know you're eating an egg right now. Okay, Riley. Okay, next up, I want to give it to Jeannie. Jeannie, what are you doing for digital equity?
Aloha, everybody. Jeannie Skog. I'm with a consulting firm from Maui, and we've had the pleasure of working with the Hawaii Broadband and Digital Equity Office to help develop the state's plan for digital equity, and have had the honor of going statewide, talking to many residents and communities about what is their priority for us moving into the digital equity space. So, yeah, it's been great, and looking forward to getting the plan off to NTIA.
Mahalo, Jeannie. And next up, my buddy on the Big Island, Brad Kaleo Bennett. Brad, what are you doing with digital equity?
Aloha, kako, Brad Kaleo Bennett from Owamo Collaborative. We are working to build community resilience and independence through creating digital sovereignty and community managed networks. So we want to build networks that rural communities can own and manage themselves, and hopefully gain some measure of independence and financial security.
Right on, Brad. Mahalo for your work. Next up, I want to call our resident professor, Dan Smith.
Yakoi and aloha. I'm Dan. I've been helping with the Affordable Connectivity Program outreach so that everybody can be connected in Hawaii. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Dan. And I want to get some representation from our Kupuna Collective. So, Lindsay, are you on? I want to have you give us an aloha to the National Digital Inclusion Alliance.
Aloha kako. My name is Lindsay Iligan. I'm at the Hawaii Public Health Institute and the Kupuna Collective. We believe that everybody has a right to digital access and access to the digital world, no matter what age. And so we are honored to do the work that we do alongside community partners like those on the call today to develop these age-empowered digital inclusion projects across the state and make sure no kupuna or older adults are left behind. Thank you.
Mahalo, Lindsay. And I see Jill. I'm not going to let Jill get off the hook. So Jill from Hawaii Literacy, you need literacy to do digital literacy. So Jill, the work that you do is very important.
Thanks, Bert, and hi, everybody. Jill Takasaki Canfield with Hawaii Literacy, and just we're focusing, like all of you, on providing access to the digital world and are focusing primarily on people with low literacy levels or language barriers.
Mahalo, Jill. Okay, so to wind this up, I want to encourage everybody who's on the front screen to turn their video on. And with that, I want to mahalo all the work that everybody's doing across the country, and mahalo everybody that's on the Broadband Hui and all your communities that are working in this digital equity space. And why don't we give the shaka to all the folks that are watching the video. Mahalo for the work you do, and hopefully we'll see you all not only in Digital Inclusion Week, but maybe at the Net Inclusion coming up in 2024. Aloha, everybody. Mahalo. Well, I want to thank everybody. That is a reel that we put together just to kind of welcome everybody, as well as give you a sampling of what we do for every Wednesday at 9 o'clock during the Broadband Hui call. And this is a very sort of monumental undertaking, because what we have, and we have, I think, about 45 folks on the actual Zoom call, but we also have probably as many of those people here in the audience here over at the Broadband Hui being held over at Sheraton Kaua'i Coconut Beach Resort. And this is the first time we're actually doing kind of a live in-person as well as a hybrid Zoom call. So it's exciting on a number of levels. One is to have everybody get together, and it is also exciting just from a technical level to actually pull this off. So, you know, we're gonna kind of follow an agenda that is somewhat similar to a Broadband Hui call, just to give you a sense of the sharing and the interaction that takes place. I am the host, and I think everybody knows who I am. I'm the State Digital Equity Coordinator, and I'm part of the Hawaii Broadband Digital Equity Office, which are all represented here. I also convene this with the County of Hawaii, and I want to give Shola a chance to go ahead and introduce herself, as well as Riley, who's live on the Zoom call.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Shola Kagako-Shubino, and I'm the Digital Equity Specialist for the County of Hawaii. I'm also playing technical support right now, and I'm in the Kaua'i with everybody, just kind of outside running the Zoom. So, mahalo for having me here this week, and I'll pass it over to you, Riley.
Aloha, Riley Seiko, County of Hawaii Research and Development Energy Specialist, and generating zero-emission energy to solve the digital divide. Awesome group, awesome work. Great to be a part of the whole team.
So Riley, you could have actually done your song live instead of recording it.
Yeah, I could have. I didn't know that you guys were going to play that.
Well, any chance to showcase your singing talent?
Oh my God.
Okay, and what we also typically do is call on some new folks to introduce themselves, but given the logistics, that might be the thing is there's a little bit of feedback though. So I don't know what's picking up the feedback. Let me check. Testing. Oh, okay. Maybe this one works. So for the benefit of everybody in the room here, thanks for your patience with some of our technical challenges. So, what we normally do in our agenda is we call on some new folks to introduce themselves, and maybe just for the sake of following our tradition, maybe I'll call on some folks that I haven't seen before, and then they can kind of unmute and say hello to everybody. Why don't we start with
John Hetherington.
Good morning and aloha. I'm an architect in Kaluakonu, and I'm also a digital artist, which is kind of what got me interested in being a part of the Broadband Hui, and have watched over the many years the struggles of people of my generation, but also people of younger generations to find ways to interact and keep the humanity. That it's not just pushing buttons, and that's one of the things I love about the Zoom. And appreciate everybody and all you're doing. Take care.
Oh, John, thanks for joining us. I do see a couple of new folks. Fred, why don't you, Frederick from Pear, why don't you say hi? I know, Frederick, you were part of our ACP sign-up event over on Maui. Why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi everybody, this is Freddie from the Brunswick team, helping a lot with the ACP efforts on island, Oahu, as well as Maui. Thanks everyone for having us here, and we're excited to help out with more of this bridging the connection and disconnect actually between connectivity and the kapuna that you have on these islands. Thank you.
Thanks, Freddie. Let's see, who can I call? What about Shayna? Shayna, I think you're relatively new to Hui, right?
I am, thank you. I'm Shayna Flannery. I work with Hawaiian Telecom and their Bell Charitable Foundation. So we do a lot of funding for nonprofits in the area, focused on digital equity and other topics. So I think there's a spot in the agenda. I'll tell you a little bit more later today.
Sounds good. Yes, I do have one on the agenda. How about David?
Aloha mai kako. Thank you, Bert. My name is Dagan Bernstein. I'm an educator in Waimea on Hawaii Island, and just joined the Hui within the last month, and have been listening in on your meetings and want to know how I can support accessing our keiki with broadband as well, especially in our rural communities here on Hawaii Island and in Waimea. So mahalo, nice to be here.
Thanks, Dagan. Now, what I do is I also give Shola a chance. Shola, you wanna call on anybody brand new?
Michelle McCoy. Mind introduce yourself? That's okay.
See, that's what sometimes happens when you do a Zoom call. Oh, Michelle.
Okay, aloha. I'm Michelle McCoy. I'm a public policy advocate here at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Mahalo for the information, and we're interested in digital equity, etc., in our policy making. Mahalo.
Thanks, Michelle. Anybody else showing up? How about John Desford?
Hi everyone. My name is John. I am a policy and data analyst at the University of Hawaii new Rural Health Research and Policy Center. So a lot of your guys' work on telehealth and expanding access to that is something that we're interested in. So just really appreciate all the work you're doing, and I'm happy to listen in and try and learn more about these efforts.
Right on. Thanks, John. Okay, so that's kind of the, typical kind of agenda. We introduce some of the new folks. What we now do is a little bit of wisdom of the day, and we have a very special guest, but she's been here for the last couple of days. So we've got Becky Soon, who's going to kind of help us not only with the wisdom of the day, but anti-Pilakipaki and some of the work that she's done. So we're going to give a little bit of focus to that, and then we'll go into some videos a little later on. Becky.
do that only, that chance. Anyone had heard it before? So, while Shola's bringing it up, I just wanted to share with folks so you can kind of get an insight a little bit into what it means. Aloha means a lot of things to a lot of different people. I think there's a lot of discussion and debate about what it even means within Hawaiian language. And I'll leave that for Hawaiian language Manaleo speakers to sort of flesh out that debate more fully. But I think that what aloha can mean for us in this context is helping reframe the way in which we approach the work that we're doing. And so, Auntie Pilahi Paki is someone who is really a very special spiritual mentor, a writer, author, poet for many decades. We lost her a little while ago, but before we did, one of the things that she did was she took the word aloha, she made it into an acronym, and helped us to sort of imbue what are some of the values that aloha means. And so what the oli is that I just shared is essentially sort of that aloha word acronym broken down. So maybe we can do it together. Y'all ready for this? Okay. Feel free to stand up. Feel free to stand up or not if you would rather be seated. That's okay too. That was my subtle encouragement. And usually when we chant or we come to our diaphragm. So try your best to push from here and just say aloha. Aloha. Okay, so you should just try it even deeper. Some of that still felt like it was coming from up here, so just try to dig a little bit deeper. You almost want to like push it out. It's super flattering. But just push it out a little bit and say aloha. Aloha. Beautiful. Okay, so the first in aloha talks about is akahai. We say akahai. So akahai is essentially kindness, compassion. So akahai na Hawaii. We're encouraging all people of Hawaii to act with kindness and with compassion. The second word is lo kahi. Lo kahi. Nice. Okay, back from down here. Lo kahi. Lo kahi. Perfect. Lo kahi is essentially unity, but it also means togetherness. It sort of reflects this idea of we're one community. This doesn't mean we can't have differing ideas. In fact, those are my funnest parts of our community, is where we differ and wrestle things out and come to a better place. But lokai can still mean that we have a common goal. We have common things that connect us. We have a common aloha from one another while we're wrestling through some of those tough issues. I think LG talked about that yesterday too, about the idea of sometimes love means wrestling with folks and thinking through different ways to approach things. Olu olu is the O. Olu olu. The okina, so you'll see that throughout the digital equity plan and many of the work here. I think that the digital equity office has really made it a priority to make sure that we're honoring and spelling Hawaiian words correctly. And so you'll see okina throughout. But for those who are maybe new to Hawaiian language, that is a way for you to know that you're stopping the sound. And so without it, you would be like, cool. But when we have the okina in there, it tells us it's two separate. So one more time. Olu olu. Olu olu. Olu olu is one of my favorite words in Hawaiian language because it kind of sounds like what it means, which is pleasantness, which is joy, which is inviting here both your thoughts to be pleasant as well as for your work to be pleasant. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean we got to be all smiles all the time, right? But it's about how can we greet one another, act together in a way that's respectful of one another and of our communities, and really trying to put ourselves, especially in a digital equity context, in the shoes to the extent that we ever can do that, to understand someone else's place in life and in this world, but the extent to which we can have our thoughts pleasant, but in a way that connects and tries to understand one another. Our next one, ha'a. Ha'a. One more time. This one especially got to come from here. Ha'a. Ha'a. Nice. So ha'a means to be humble. Ha'a kokulana really invites the idea that we're all equal and that no one is above one another. We all come to spaces like this and spaces within our communities with different ike, with different knowledge, with different ideas, with different special talents. And sometimes it's easy for us in certain contexts to value certain kinds of knowledge differently than other kinds of knowledge. this really invites us to say that everyone has superpowers, everyone has assets to bring into a conversation, and how do we therefore really treat everybody equally and respecting that we all have an equal place in this world. And last is Ahonui. One more time, Ahonui. And so Ahonui is patience, and this last line is sort of inviting us to say that there's a long road and many successes along the road to where we're trying to go. I think that if I were to read my own mana'o into this line from Auntie Pilaki, it's sort of about the idea of, Bert says this often, that the work that we're doing happens at the speed of relationship building. And one of the things, we call that is pilina, this idea of relationships, and those work that we're doing is going to happen because of that pilina, right? Not as a side, instance. It's going to be because of working through those relationships, and that takes time. And that takes sitting down and having coffee together and talking story about things that seem totally unrelated, but they're not. It's the foundation, it's the building blocks of how we do the work that we're going to do. So, in closing, aloha e. Aloha e. Aloha e. Aloha e. Aloha e. Aloha e. And this is we're just sharing our love with one another. So, mahalo for that. Feel free to sit.
Mahalo, Becky. We do have a couple of videos that we want to play, and I did get a reminder from our technical support outside that any of the links that were being shown, videos, presentations, are on the agenda. So if you're part of the Broadband Hui, you get the agenda, and look at this, you're looking at me like, where's the agenda? I'll definitely send it to you, and I'll add you to the mailing list. And so all the links are available. So we want to share this broad and wide. So
I wanted to share one closing thought, because I know that you talked about this a lot, Bert. So the reason that Bert, I think, asked me to share about aloha this morning is because it is so important that it is part of the Hawaii Revised Statutes. It is section 5-7.5 that we all are going to treat each other with aloha, and especially for those of us that have kuleana within government, are going to treat all of our communities that way. And so it really sets up the frame for the digital equity plan. And so as Bert has shared with us about this vision that many of you have shared about the va'a that will take us, I think our hope is that this digital equity framework is the va'a that connects us all. We each have individual kuleana, and we're all connected by Mamoni Niliakea, by the ocean. Some of us quite literally connected through Oceania. So mahalo for inviting me to just share lots of your framing for this work.
Well, Becky has been a key, integral part of the development, not only the digital equity plan, but just keeping everything grounded, as we've progressed through this path of ours. And I'm definitely hoping that she'll continue to be part of our journey, moving forward. With that, I do want to move on to part of our agenda, which includes some pretty, recognizable dignitaries who especially put together a video just for us. So with that, we have Senator Hirono.
Everyone, I'm Senator Maisie Hirono. Welcome to the first Broadband Koike. Throughout the summit, you will meet other people who are working to expand access to high-speed internet for underserved communities across our islands. Internet access is essential to support education, healthcare, and social and economic welfare of our communities. Access to reliable internet is critical for our keiki to be able to learn, for our kupuna to access telemedicine, and for our local businesses to access markets worldwide. However, there are communities in Hawaii that still lack affordable, reliable broadband access, especially those on neighbor islands. That is why robust investments in our broadband infrastructure are important. Thanks to the American Rescue Plan, Hawaii will receive more than $115 million to improve broadband access across the islands. Additionally, the Affordable Connectivity Program, which I'm proud to support, helps more than 50,000 households in Hawaii access affordable internet. These crucial federal investments and programs are helping to increase access to affordable internet across our state. They will help our communities connect with their schools, workplaces, loved ones, and more. And as we work to rebuild after the devastating Maui wildfires, it is important that we invest in resilient broadband infrastructure. Affordability is access, and I will continue working to secure the federal support Hawaii needs to strengthen broadband access across the state. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Senator, and mahalo, Dean. Do you want to say hi to everybody? If it wasn't for Dean, he was the one that really got the senator to, sit down, do the video, and actually get it produced. So mahalo, Dean.
Thanks, Barrett. The other comms team, but I did help. But hi, everyone. I'm Dean Rodan. I'm with Senator Hirono's office. I work on her telecoms portfolio, among other things, and really advocating for, ACP funding and other digital equity concerns. So, yeah, I'm really sad I couldn't be there in person. This whole government shutdown thing really stopped those plans, but I'm glad I could be here and glad to see you all in person as well.
Yeah, mahalo, Dean. Well, next time we'll definitely make sure that you are able to join us. But we love the work that you're doing, and I just got a press release this morning from Senator Hirono's office about the ACP. What was done recently was, expanding the free and reduced lunch offering for schools that would automatically enable those families that are participating, in the CEP school to get ACP. So I'll have Ron talk a little bit about what he does a little later on. So with that, I do want to also now segue to another dignitary that did a special video for us, and she is the FCC chairwoman, Jessica Rosen-Worsel, and I'm just so thrilled that she was able to dedicate some time in her schedule to produce this video. So this is Chairwoman Rosen-Worsel.
Aloha. Thank you for this opportunity to address you during this important broadband Hawike. I want to talk to you today about connecting everyone everywhere in Hawaii. But first, I do want to acknowledge the deadly wildfires that ripped through Maui and gripped us in Washington and all across the country. Now, I found the news particularly heartbreaking because Hawaii is a place I know well. Years ago, when I worked on Capitol Hill, my very first boss was Senator Daniel Inouye. So I spent more than a bit of time on the islands, and I can assure you it was not a hardship assignment. Hawaii is an astonishingly beautiful place, with a landscape that is so often so lush. That is why it was just so hard to imagine the kind of dry, wind-fueled flames that raced along the western edge of Maui. It's harder still to conceive they were so powerful they leveled the historic town of Lahaina. Now, my thoughts continue to be with those affected, those who lost homes and loved ones, and of course those who now need to rebuild. The harrowing stories out of Lahaina remind us of the importance of community, of the way people rise up to assist both neighbors and strangers in times of crisis. They also remind us of the importance of connectivity, because we need to make sure that people can stay connected in extreme circumstances, when being connected can actually be the difference between life and death. And I think that the plain truth is no matter who you are or where you live in this country, you are going to need internet access to have a fair shot at 21st century success and security. Now, the truth is, I've actually never been more optimistic about our prospects to bridge the digital divide, because we have so many new tools to make it happen. For starters, we have the bipartisan infrastructure law. Congress created a lot of new programs in that law, including a $42.5 billion program to help build broadband where infrastructure is lacking. Now that's huge, and my colleagues at the Department of Commerce are working to support deployment with these funds, including in Hawaii. But the FCC is also a big part of this effort to close the digital divide, with our initiative to map where broadband is and is not in every single community. The more accurate our maps get, the better we can target our broadband investment to the places that need it most. Now, we are constantly reviewing our maps, and every 6 months, we release a major update to reflect the latest and best information. Of course, nobody knows the connectivity gaps in Hawaii better than this audience, because you know what's happening in your own backyard. So let me encourage you to go to fcc.gov/maps to take a look and make sure those maps are as accurate as possible. Be sure to let us know if you think there are things we got right, things we got wrong, and please tell us how we can make them better. Now, as excited as I am about these efforts to promote broadband deployment to unserved areas, I'm especially pleased that for the first time ever, we are attacking the digital divide from another angle. We are recognizing that too many people in this country struggle to keep connected because they struggle to pay for this essential service. And the way I see it, nobody should have to choose between paying for gas and groceries and paying for their broadband bill. So at the FCC, we've done something big. We built the largest broadband affordability initiative in our nation's history. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, or ACP for short. So here's how it works. If you're an eligible household, you get discounts of up to $30 a month on broadband service and up to $75 a month if that household is on tribal lands. And you can also receive up to $100 to offset the cost of a computer or tablet. You can find out how to sign up at getinternet.gov. Most major internet providers also have a link on their websites to make it easy to enroll, and many have high-speed, low-cost service packages that are right at $30. That makes it free to ACP subscribers. All right, some more good news. We are making progress. Since this program began in 2021, we have more than 21 million households enrolled nationwide. That's a lot. In Hawaii alone, it's over 50,000 households. That's over 50,000 homes where the connections they need for work, school, or anything else are supported by ACP. That's 50,000 Hawaiian homes where the folks who live in them find it a little easier to make ends meet each month. But we know we can do more because there are millions of more eligible households and many in Hawaii who are missing out on this opportunity. And that includes households all across the state and Lahaina that could be using ACP to get online and stay online or not. So we're going to have to change that. And that's where you come in. Because one of the biggest lessons we've learned about getting out the word about ACP is that, as charming as we are in Washington, it's actually local leaders that people trust. When they hear about this program from those who live nearby, they get interested. And so many of you have already answered this call. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, members of LA Pio Social Services, Kupuna Collective Hawaii County, the University of Hawaii, Hawaii Department of Human Services, and the State Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism worked along with FCC staff who came to the state to provide ACP information and enrollment assistance to thousands of households that recently enrolled in DSNAP. So thank you for help. Thank you for your help bringing this important benefit to households impacted by the wildfires, and many of those organizations that received FCC grant funding through the ACP are going to help us reach even more eligible households in Lahaina and beyond. But you see, that's not my only ask for this audience. We have now come so far with this program, we can't turn back. We have to make sure that support for ACP continues. Because while the funding that Congress provided for ACP was powerful, it was not permanent. And if that support is allowed to expire next year, millions of those we've connected will get shut off from the online services they have come to rely on. So we need Congress to continue the good this program has done, and with your support, build on it. We're going to need people at the local level to speak up. Make sure you tell Washington about your stories. They're going to want to hear about what a difference ACP is making in their communities. So don't be shy. Again, please speak up. If the program's meaningful for you and your community, please make sure you let people know. In the end, I believe when we connect people to the internet, we are connecting them to opportunity and community. So let's work together to keep connecting and keep this program going, because if we do that, we can make sure every family in Hawaii can get online and stay online, no matter who they are or where they live. Together we can do it, and the Affordable Connectivity Program can lead the way. Mahalo. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the chairwoman, Jessica Rosenworslow, and she's been probably on the Broadband Hui at least a couple, 3 times, and she's been a strong supporter of the work that we all do, and of course, we're also involved with rolling out and managing the Affordable Connectivity Program, which kind of helps me segue into kind of our next segment, which I do want to bring some people up on stage here and kind of recognize them. And maybe I'll start off with Ron and Doreen, and why don't you come up here and I'll have you talk a little bit about the ACP work you do and maybe some of the experience you had on Maui just recently, as she has mentioned.
Aloha, everyone. What is so interesting is the word aloha. I spoke to somebody that was from Nevada, and he said, well, how do you manage that you're taking care of all these people? And I told him, we're so lucky. We use the word aloha, and it breaks down all these walls that makes it easier to go and talk to people, makes it easier for me to experience what they're going through, and to bring in what you can help for what I can do. $30 and $75, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And so I tell them, this, if you do this, you can be Santa Claus just like me. And helping your family, helping your friends, helping the things that you would like to see happen. And I've been so fortunate to be part of this because it is such a wonderful job, to go out and be the aloha woman. Yeah, I'm the aloha woman, and I'm really happy for that.
If some of you noticed, when Sylvia Lou came in, she came beeline to us. It's because we were her supporters when she, for the Big Island, when she ran for office. And we met with her about 3 times. We had, Arvin and I ran a childcare, actually did, a childcare. So we enclosed our garage. So it's sort of a pretty big area that I'd say 2-3 dozen people could fit comfortably. And on her last visit, we asked her, okay, Sylvia, what can I do? She says, I got the governor's permission to do 2 things. Early childhood and ACP. And I said, okay. And every so often, I would sort of dig her, talk to Bert, and Bert said, remind her, because she's been focused a lot on early childhood, but not enough, I feel, on ACP. So before this, I text her that, Sylvia, we seem to be sort of slow getting off the ground. And I asked her, can we please ask the governor if we can use his staff? Every island has a liaison office, and I'm very fortunate for the big island. I know her personally through the Democratic Party. And so her name's Amy Newark. So I said, Amy, we need help. You know, we cannot go to public schools because it's really hard to talk to the administration at the schools. Amy, I'm going to submit a request also. But she said, you know, I think this is so important. If we cannot get the permission, I'm going to take you to every public school because as a guy, so she can get into everyone. So tomorrow, I'm made arrangements to go to the Kaua'i school, which is a CEP school. So I went to 4 CEP schools on the Big Island. So far, I got 2 charter schools letters that were sent to the parents. And that's the easiest way, because even though on Maui, Pono and us, we try to register people, but it can be a very time-consuming process. You know, documentation is the hardest challenge. You know, so Pono, you signed up about 9 that day. So we only keep track of who we approved, not who got denied. But so far, we only had 1. During that 4, I had 3. And sometime, like one gentleman, he was on SSI or Medicaid. That went fast because he tied into the federal database. But others might take a little longer. But in any event, right now, I feel the low-hanging fruit is the CEP schools. So when I talked to the principal, one of them called me back, and that's who we're going to see tomorrow. And what is it? Yeah. But you know, I get 400 students. I don't know if I can tell my secretary. She got a, you know, I said, hey, you ever thought of using the PTA? Good idea, good idea. So he's going to include the PTA members to help educate the families if they don't know. Most of them, I think, they can do it themselves. It's not that hard if you read, follow instructions. But just in case, that we're also going to see if we can work with each school to at least have one person that they can be a reference or a navigator. And then Smith was the one that told me, don't bother going to the administration, go straight to the principal. So taking up on this idea, that's why we're doing it, get the low-hanging fruit. You know, that's school. And I was telling Silda, Doreen was saying, you can be a Santa Claus. You know, just call up each school and say, hey, did you send the letters home for your child? Christmas is coming up, right? So if you're in a homestead, you get 2 more months, that's $150 you can use towards a present. And Father, it's $60, but at least you can buy something. And I was also planning to go, I used to be in retailing many years. That's like Alan, the mayor, Kaua'i. Anyway, I knew him when I was a kid. Because before, I used to work for a company called Shursey, and every year we would convene a conference, and every year we go to a different island. So whatever island we ended on, the supermarket there had to host it. And so my kids actually grew up with Mayor Kaua'i, well, he was one of the kids. So we knew him when he was tiny. But anyway, it's very gratifying to me when you sign people up and the look on the face, get that, when they get it. I mean, they're very appreciative. And the one that recall most is when this lady who lost her husband, she says, half my income was cut. You have to live on Social Security. And she said, every month I'm going to decide whether to pay my internet bill or my electric bill. So now that's that problem she's had. Okay, so that's all I have, but it's gratifying when they get the awards and all. It's about 10-digit numbers at that. Once you get that portal verification, then you call up whoever you're servicing you, and by the next month you'll get the credit. Yep, thank you.
Thanks. Oh no, I mean, any questions for the Kodanis? I welcome them. They welcome them. Now, you might ask, what's with this red shirt? Why are these people wearing red shirts? That's my question.
Because I just felt that we're easy to see. So, look for the red shirts. So, Amber and Bert always dragging us someplace, you know. Doreen and I, we have this thing called a cricket machine. So basically, we buy the shirts, and we created this design. But I was telling Bert, this is only half, because we all need to be certified, and Amber's working in our program to become a certified navigator. And once that is done, then that person being awarded like a pilot pin. We're a certified navigator for the ACP program. Bert has one, but he's not certified yet, so.
I gotta still take the test. Well, thanks, Ron and Doreen. And I'm gonna call up another person with a red shirt. Dan, why don't you come up here and share a little bit about your ACP experience? And you were there on the first day and the last day of the event that we did on Maui. So it's the first time I've seen Dan in the red shirt. So please take a picture of him, because he's our resident professor.
Thank you, Bert. As Ron and Doreen said, it really is gratifying when people get signed up, and the FCC and their contractor USAC really did a great job in terms of supporting Maui. The usual thing when you upload a document, it has to be reviewed by humans. In this case, the DSNAP letter says 15 minutes to 2 days. If they had email, they were getting the feedback before it was appearing on the website. It is, and there's many other stories of people really feeling good about getting their benefit. Like one gentleman, her daughter, his daughter did not have to go out to McDonald's or the library or wherever to do her homework. So I think as a chairlady said, we need to get the ACP extended, more funding, and get more school outreach and community outreach, because like a PTA meeting or a community meeting, so take out your phone, go to getinternet.gov, start filling out the form. If you have any help, you can, we'll come around and do it. But again, just to conclude, FCC and USAC just fabulous job. They were there in person, and they had the people in Washington, D.C. on the back end to support it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Dan. And Dan's been one of our volunteers that has gone out to do ACP pop-ups, along with David. Where's David? David, are you still here? Did you catch the plane back already? Oh, okay. MIA. He and Dan were kind of the tag team that would go out and actually do these what we call pop-ups, and they even put together like a pop-up guide. So if anybody's interested in looking at what it is that it takes to do a pop-up, we've got that, and we're happy to share that with anybody. And I think that their work prior to getting the ACP Outreach Grant was really the foundation upon which we built, the support for the ACP, and they're still going out. Dan's still going out in spite of the fact that oftentimes he's a volunteer, and some of the organizations that Chairwoman Rosenworcel mentioned, they were recipients of some of the grant money for this ACP program, and now at least for the folks that go out there and sign people up, they can expense their time, they can expense their travel, they can expense whatever it takes to put a pop-up together. So that's the benefit of actually getting an FCC grant to do that kind of work. So it's important. Oftentimes, when we get started with some of these programs, we're pretty much unfunded, and it's due to volunteers that are willing to go out there and actually do the work on their own kind of spare time. And I got to credit Dan for coming up with the idea of shortening that window between doing the application and getting the USAC folks. And USAC is kind of the administrator for the ACP program with the FCC. So if they saw an application come in, they could automatically, or for the most part, within 5 minutes, approve it. So that was a good thing to kind of shorten the window for those folks that were actually with us waiting to get approval. So anyway, thanks Dan, thanks Ron and Termin for continuing to support the ACP, and I always see you in force with all the red shirts. Now with that, I do want to Dan, okay, this is what happens on the broadband movies. There's always got something more to say.
What'd you come on? Need to get on?
Okay. Well, hey.
You have to trip over yourself.
Yeah, I really want to say mahalo to all the folks who organized this, KEDB and all the sponsors and so forth. Really, really, excellent programs. And I'm very.
Dan, you're so gracious. Thanks for reminding me. I also want to thank the folks at Hoike TV who are in the back, really working hard to not only record what it is that took place over the last 3 days, but they're also streaming this on YouTube. So Allegra and Max, who are part of the Hoike TV, they are very much a partner in this, and without them we wouldn't have been able to capture a lot of the content that's being created here. So it'll live on in perpetuity. And again, this is a journey that we're all on, and I think from a content standpoint, it is the historical record of what we've done and what we've accomplished. So mahalo to Hoike TV for providing the service. Thank you. With that, I do want to call up a couple Stacy, because she's using her phone, so she's not paying attention to me. So I want to call Stacy up and have her talk a little bit about what's going on with some of this digital literacy in the libraries, and what do you have in mind for this sort of digital navigator program? Because I'm going to be talking to you more about that in the future.
Thank you, teacher. Aloha, good morning, everyone. It's so nice to be here. And I want to thank everyone for all the hard work that went into putting this conference together. And it's just been wonderful being able to see everybody outside of a tiny little box that we have been seeing each other for so long. So I'm going to be talking about this in the next program.
I know. This is a teaser.
A teaser? we're going to be talking a little bit about the pilots that we're doing and what public libraries are doing to support digital literacy. We're hubs in the community, and it's been interesting to me, people talking about this is a new thing for libraries, but we've actually been doing this since 1992-3, when we called it computer classes and internet training. And we've been the places for people to have access in communities where they have no access, and today we still are. So libraries are central hubs, and we really look forward to connecting everybody to the community to all the wonderful things that you're doing so they can find the resources they need to gain skills, get devices, or just get connectivity through ACP, which is just amazing, the connections that you're building to help connect people. So, is that good? Yeah. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Stacey, and thanks for being such a sport. You know, the other thing that I do is I call on people that don't even know that they're going to get called on. So that's another tradition of the broadband movie. Now, I do want. I'm gonna call somebody that's actually on the Hui call because I want to make sure that this is working. And I'm going to test to see if Christina Higa is actually paying attention so that she can tell us a little bit about what she's doing with the telehealth subgroup that she's sponsoring. And oh, you are paying attention, Christina. Very good. Okay, you want to say hi to everybody? We've got about, I don't know, 50 people in the room here. And Christina's been, the force multiplier for a lot of the telehealth interests, and I think she might. I don't know. Are you gonna be putting some kind of like comment together for our digital equity plan? I just thought I want to be, prepare myself.
Right. Aloha. Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to be able to join you remotely. This Broadband Hui has done so much for the state, and you can see the partnerships are really strong and has grown to synergize so that we can actually work on actual projects from grant writing to implementation. And I just wanted to say that, well, first of all, introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. I'm Christina Higa, and I'm the director of the Pacific Basin Telehealth Resource Center based at the University of Hawaii. So our mission is really to advance telehealth and broadband, digital equity. All of this has been a core part of trying to get better access to healthcare via the use of technology, right? And we all experienced that during the pandemic. There's this really strong group that meets every Wednesday, as you know, during this meeting for an hour and a half. And what our subgroup, the telehealth working group, is trying to do is take all that information and knowledge that's shared during those weekly meetings and expand the group to the health sector so that no one's left out of this discussion. So to answer your question directly, Bert, we are working to carefully review all of the different efforts of the digital equity plans, the BEAD plans, all of that, to see how the healthcare stakeholder can have input. When you're putting plans like that together, it's really hard to get the broad input from across the state. And so there are many of these different various working groups that's trying to focus on the sectors that we work in. And that's what our working group is aiming to do. So thanks for this time. You guys got to watch out because you may be with your video off, listening in. You don't ever know it, but Bert may call you to just impromptu come on and say something. So thanks, Bert, and aloha, everyone. Back to you, Bert.
Thank you. Now you got me started. I'll be looking at this crowd and thinking, who am I going to call up next? But thanks, Christina. She's been a really strong supporter, been with the Hui from the very beginning, and love her energy, love her commitment to the work that she's doing and supporting, all of us in Hawaii with telehealth services. I do want to call up Amber. Amber, if it wasn't for Amber and Chung coming back from something called the SBLN, which is the State Broadband Leaders Network, which took place in Indianapolis, which is Amber's favorite town. she came back and she was all charged up and wanted to do the Broadband Hawaii, which, thanks to the folks in the University of Hawaii, they included that even in the 5-year action plan. So when I keep seeing it being repeated, I thought, well, this is a good chance to maybe even actually pull it off. And so, Amber, what was it that got you all excited about the Hawaii and wanting to actually pull it off? And I know they talked about it a little bit yesterday. Why Kaua'i? But what went into your mind when you decided to do this?
Oh, thank you so much, Bert, and so wonderful to see everyone here. It's just been amazing to find the new people in person. It's actually been quite an emotional few days for a lot of us, I think. I actually have two people I want to bring up on the stage. The first one, I have to say, everyone here...
You still have to answer the question.
Oh, what made me want to do? Well, I think I'm going to lead in with a quick story. The person who actually, I'm going to give majority of the credit for this event to one individual and her team. So I see her trying to shuffle away into the background. But I want to bring up Jackie Kaina. And I have a story I keep telling people, which is... Okay, come on, Jackie. So, Jackie Kaina is my partner in crime here, making all of this happen. And my new joke is that we are not allowed to be left alone together without a third person in there that's going to keep it real for us. Because I came back with Chun from Indianapolis from a wonderful event where we met a bunch of our partners from the territories, from CNMI, Guam, and American Samoa. And they actually gave us the first inspiration for this. And we came back home and we're talking to all of our partners. And then I started talking to Jackie Kaina and she's like, oh, well, we should just do this on Kaua'i. And I said, well, it's pretty soon, Jackie. It's just a few weeks away. It's 7 weeks away. We're thinking about doing this for this very certain time for this Digital Inclusion Week because we're celebrating a national event right now together. And so we had a very short time to plan this. And she just said, no problem. And I thought we were going to do a little, country kind of style event, maybe at a community center, one day, little, talk story session. And then the next thing I know, we're at this amazing hotel with every single thing done like a top line conference that would have taken a year to plan. So I've just been blown away by not only Jackie's been working so many hours. They've been working until the middle of the night the other day, moving everything. For people who are just viewing in, I don't know if you can see all the flowers in this room. So we're in a room filled with flowers, table gifts. It's just, the hospitality has just been unreal. I think everyone that I've spoken to has just told me they've never experienced anything like this. So I want to give this to Jackie. Jackie is actually the woman who made all this happen, and of course her amazing team at the Kaua'i Economic Development Board, along with the support from the County of Kaua'i. So Jackie, please take a little bit of credit for this. She's been in the background for this whole event.
Hi everybody, thank you for being here, and this is our last day, but you know what, really the credit is to the team, and I'm a Bert because I get super emotional too. I love seeing all of you here on our island, our Hawaii Island, Ohana. We got to travel and take some videos, and then we got to meet some new people like Mateo and Glenn. It's just, that's the special thing, and that's what makes Hawaii so different, yeah? We can all come together, and we can hold hands, and we can just move mountains together. And so we wanted to welcome you here and give you all of our aloha, and this is how we do it on Kaua'i, and we cannot wait to do the same Hawaii Island, and Oahu, and even Maui. Yes, our team, they are team no sleep, but, we are super, super grateful. Without our partners at the HBDO office and just partners like UH, none of this would be possible. So thank you to everyone who welcomed us into your hale, the Kodanis, that, allowed us to just say, hey, can we just come and video you? They were game, and, Pono was there, and and Uncle Pat over there, and also Micah, whom we miss very much. But just all of those special things, like those are things you don't see. But we've created friendships that we're super, super thankful for. So enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you for flying here, UH team. I see Farah over there, and Tehani. So thank you all for flying in. We really appreciate you. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And another round for just the whole team on Kaua'i who hosted us. You set the standard pretty high. I think whoever's going to put on the next Hoike is going to have a bit of stress to see if they can match this event. I have to say, for our first one time, it's just been incredible. I do want to take a second now, since I am up here, and people do know me. They know I was a fundraiser for much of my career, and I was absolutely blown away by how quickly our sponsors stood up and offered us financial support to put this on. It just wouldn't have happened without that support. And I'm going to turn around. I don't have everyone memorized, sadly, but I'm going to read off from our banners. And one of the first sponsors that stepped up was County of Hawaii. Doug Adams called me up actually and said, I'm going to help make this happen. Maybe we'll do it in Hawaii County next time, but I'm going to make sure that we contribute to make this happen. Chung Chang, our leader at the Hawaii Broadband and Digital Equity Office, actually was extremely instrumental in allowing this to happen. He not only allowed us to release funds for this, but also allowed us and our team the time to organize and encouraged us to bring people together in person. So I really want to thank Chung and his wonderful leadership for our office to allow me to spend time for the last month doing this and seeing the value in bringing people together. So really, really appreciate that. We have Adobe, that was one of our sponsors early on. Thank you so much, Dr. Adobe. Ocean Networks also stepped up to the plate. University of Hawaii, one of our beloved sponsors, came up right away and said that they were going to contribute at the highest level for us as well. Kauai County not only hosted us, they also were one of our financial sponsors to help bring this whole event together. Transform Hawaii Government, another wonderful sponsor. We've got their banner here behind us for you to all enjoy. Who am I missing now? I have Ocean Networks. And then we have our consultancy group who also contributed, Solutions Pacific, Scope, Rasmussen, and Crystal Communications. Oh, I almost forgot Hawaii Telecom. They were all here yesterday. They actually did a wonderful presentation. Special thanks to Ginny for all her support along this journey. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, one of the people, a secret fundraiser here we found out is Bert Lum, actually is a marvel at fundraising. No one is allowed to borrow him. We're going to keep him for all of our events, but he is able to call up so many people and isn't afraid to ask for those extra few dollars. One of the wonderful things we were able to do at this event that I do think sets us apart, from the very beginning, when we first started talking about it, we said we want to make sure that our community members, our volunteers, who don't have, state, county, federal jobs, are able to come as well. We didn't want this to just be a group of professionals. We wanted our community to come. So for the sponsors who are here to know, we were able to bring many people here from across the state on a full hotel, accommodations, transportation, flights. Jackie and her team arranged it all. We brought people over here so that we could have that real representation of what our work is all about in this space. So just so our sponsors know, that is a big part of what made this happen, as well as all the costs that went into putting on the event. So we really appreciate all of the support to allow us to do that. Okay, so those are my thank yous. I think I got everyone. If I forgot you, I will come up here again and make sure I recognize you. So thank you to all our sponsors. Yeah, really wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Bert's question. What made us do this? And I have one special guest. When we first did this, Chung and I came back from our conference with state leaders, and we had a wonderful experience, particularly with, for the first time for us to meet our territory partners. So we had Guam, American Samoa, and CNMI with us in beautiful Indianapolis. We spent a week together, and at the end of that event, we promised that As island communities, we were going to come together to talk about broadband and digital equity as often as we could, and to share our resources and all of the work that we've done, and to support one another, lift each other up in this. So I do want to bring up my dear friend Glenn Hunter from CNMI, who was able to join us, who flew all the way over here to come and meet with people. So you are going to have to come up, Glenn. So Glenn is from Micronesia, from Saipan. He's the broadband lead for them, and a wonderful partner for us, really knowledgeable, and really excited that he was able to make it here. We're looking forward to seeing what happens next. We're hoping that we're going to get to go visit them there. Yeah. He's pretending that he's shy. He's actually
so shy.
Well, I'm hoping you might be able to just share a little bit.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy that you could come. It was a real thrill. I was hoping that you might be able to share a little bit about what's going on in your community, so everyone in Hawaii can see how connected we are with what's going on all across the Pacific.
First off, thank you so much. This whole experience has been really thrilling. As Amber said, I'm shaking. I don't like public speaking. It doesn't make any sense. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, I'm just extremely appreciative of the invite, of getting a chance to meet you in Indianapolis. And then at that time, this was kind of just a seed in your mind. I recall you mentioning it. And the timeline she gave, she was like, oh yeah, in a couple months, I'd have to do this in a couple months. And I just kind of said, well, if you do that, if you can pull this thing together, I'll make sure I do everything in my power to be there. And as you said, support it. I think something that was mentioned earlier is a feeling that resonates strongly with me is that the relationships kind of create the work, or something like that was said. That's all about building these relationships and fostering these connections. And so when we were together there in Indianapolis, like you said, we kind of formed a little bond between the territories and Hawaii that I think is always there between the Pacific Islands. And it's something that our office, fairly new, I'm the broadband director for the CNMI's newly formed broadband office out there, and we only brought that office together in May of this year. And so we're relatively new, and in being that we're new, we do rely on our brothers and sisters, in the territories and in the states for guidance and to learn, get some wisdom. And so coming to this gathering and getting a chance to see all the presentations and to learn from you guys has been so instrumental. And so I just wanted to give like a big thanks to you, Amber. I'm so happy we established a relationship. And I'm so grateful to have been given this opportunity to come out here. So thank you so much, and thanks to all the sponsors that made this happen. And Kaua'i is such a beautiful, beautiful place. And Jackie and Amber, if you ever need that third to keep you guys in line, I'm always here.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to give the mic back to Bert. I do see we have another special guest that joined us. I'm going to let Bert introduce him, and I hope he's ready to come up on stage. It's probably going to happen. So thank you so much, Bert. Thank you, everyone. And really looking forward to continuing all these connections and planning our next get-together. Before we leave here, let's do that.
Mahalo, Amber. And, it's been a great journey. And thanks, Amber, for, pulling off the broadband Huike. And we'll ask Jackie, like where the next one in 2024 will be. So anyway, we'll keep that for later on. I want to welcome Senate President up to the stage. He's been involved with the Broadband Hui from very early on, and the question that I'm going to ask him, and I know he's prepared to answer it, is how did you, Senate President, get acquainted to the Broadband Hui and actually join when it started back in March of 2020? Well, go ahead and come and sit down and say hi to everyone.
Aloha.
Aloha.
So I would tell you about two different stories, both being somewhere at the inception and then seeing how it's evolved and grown. In November of 1982, I was elected to the Kaua'i County Council. I wasn't the smart guy with the idea, but Paula Ishii, who eventually became Paula Morikami, introduced a bill for $15,000, and it was the seed money to start the Kaua'i Development Corporation that Jackie is now in charge of. And the goal was to see what we could do to attract business. In November of '82, we got hit by Hurricane Eva. In that previous decade, West Kauai saw negative growth rates, so people weren't returning, and part of KDB was to create an organization that would bring great collaborators together and move Kauai forward. And so it's nice to have lived long enough to see the effect of that one decision and an initial $15,000 investment back in '83. The Broadband Hui story is a lot simpler. On March 19th, 2020, I found out I was a close contact of someone who tested positive for COVID, one of our Senate members. So I had the invasive, through your brain, made me cry COVID test. And we had still not developed lab capacity to process the test in Hawaii, and my test was shipped to the mainland at a time when there was an incredible backlog. So if you remember, the protocol was 14 days quarantine, and I received my results on the 16th day after they took the test. So I was out of quarantine for 2 days already. I wound up being negative. I was on Oahu, and I'm in my condo with nothing to do. And there's no sports, because all sports had been shut down. My wife had not introduced me to Hallmark movies yet, so I wasn't checking out the Hallmark Channel and all these, rom-coms where everything works out at the end. So I see on my email about this Broadband Hui, and I said, well, I'm going out of my mind. What the hell is Zoom? So my office walked me through how to get onto the Zoom link. So I'm on the very first meeting of the Broadband Hui. And there were 15 of us at the time. Now it routinely drives 60, 70 people, and there are people from everywhere, who come onto the calls. So, great people. The paraphrase generally is, in the disaster, all I saw was the opportunity. I wasn't paralyzed. I was able to create a plan and go forward. And for Bert, he was one of those people. And in the disaster, how do we get people together, or how do we move forward? He recognized quickly whether it was going to be in medicine/telemedicine, delivery of education, how we were going to still try to provide government services, the digital platforms. We're going to be absolutely critical for us to keep social distancing, try to protect our health, while still achieving the goals that we had for our community. Another one I'd like to recognize is Stacy Aldrich, the head of the libraries. With some of the money that became available, she then re-imaged the libraries and brought so much more connectivity to the libraries, but libraries were becoming antiquated. Nobody was coming in to borrow the books, so what do we do to continue to connect our people, to create opportunity for young people here? And Stacy was another one that saw the opportunity to go forward. And so I don't know much about technology. I got, two sons that are like 30 and 32 that do most of it for me, and I've got staff, but I still tune into the Broadband Hui meetings because I'm very interested in not just the conversations, but who's in the conversation. And I may not know it, but generally if I hear it, then I'll recognize what needs to be done. So I appreciate those conversations and the hard work, and I wanted to be sure that I could welcome you to Kauai. I appreciate you coming here. I read the email at 6:45 this morning and said, I gotta get home. I gotta be here. So at 7 o'clock, I'm calling my one guy that comes in early, changed my ticket to the 8:30 flight. I'm running home to grab my bag. I'm heading to the airport. They say light load. So I'm like, this will be great. And they close the door. And then we sit at the jetway for 10 minutes. My wife is texting me, there's an accident in front of Kaua'i Beach Resort. Com radio says you can't get into Kaua'i. I go, but I have to go to Kaua'i. And then we sit on the reef runway for another 10, 15 minutes. I get in like half an hour late. And my wife says the traffic is, kind of cleared. I think we can get there. And I drop her back at home in Leui. And I'm here to sing. Okay, thank you. Thank you very, very much again for all of your efforts. If nothing else, we've learned with all the tragedy in Maui, the digital platforms are going to be more important than ever in getting education to the students. The digital platforms are going to be more important than ever as we work to upgrade our warning systems in tracking drought areas and areas of danger is going to be done through technology. I'm hoping by the end of December to let you guys know that we're working on an AI platform with some of the schools here on Kaua'i, and at the high school level, they have to fill out a progress report or matriculation report, and the 260 plus schools, all of the high schools, they have a piece of paper that needs to be filled out, and they're all told to go do it how you want to, which generally is being done manually when they can't recruit employees. And it's taking away time that could be committed to teaching our students. So we're hoping to create a uniform sheet that they'll be able to fill out, and then they'll be able to do better data analytics. They'll be able to give real-time suggestions to students about where their career path is going, what their aptitudes are. And so luckily I know some really smart people who know how to do this. I'm like Bert, I just raise money. So that's some of the things we've been doing. Certainly I appreciate everything that's been done by Bert, by Stacy, and all the unsung heroes in the state and the private sector who have all collaborated so much since COVID. So thank you.
Thank you. I gotta thank Senate President because, we've been doing the Hui calls and he comes on, in fact, I gave him a little badge that says, he's the most frequent attendee of the Broadband Hui. And, as we go through some of the administration changes, I would tell some of the leadership in DBID, one of our regular attendees is the Senate President. They would look at me like, you're kidding me, right? You're kidding me. And of course, they would then call him up and say, is he for real? Is he, are you really on the Broadband Hui? He said, yeah, I joined the Hui.
But they know that I wasn't very tech savvy.
Well, but you provided the credibility for us to, So I really appreciate your continued involvement and the, just the support that you've shown to a lot of the folks that are here, and again, giving us the sort of the credibility of leadership. Understanding what is going on, with all these challenges as well as opportunities, with the federal government and the funding and all the projects that are now kind of underway. So it's been a great journey, and I hope that you will continue to be a part of this. I think we are.
Well, certainly I'm committed that way, but I would say and I probably should have led with this. We, because of the experience, moved faster to be able to do remote testimony and connect with the constituents, which is something that had been talked about for years, especially for us representing neighbor island districts, and initially trying to avoid people getting on the plane, renting the car, the hotel, all of that expense.
And then now we have a lot of seniors who are engaged in the legislative process that may be compromised for their health, so they want to come in remotely. And so we have been able to make great strides because of all of the efforts and the partners that I was able to call because of the broadband in getting our technology right at the Senate, and then eventually the House got up to us.
No, yeah, I've really marveled at how quickly, the legislature, the Senate, really leveraged this technology to make testimony much more easier, and they continue to do that. So it's a great example of early adoption and actually implementing it into the actual continued, rollout of technology within the legislature. So I guess 2024 is going to be a big session, right? And so I think, you'll be hearing from us, I think.
Yes.
But thank you, Senate President, and I appreciate your joining us today, honoring us with your presence. All right, thank you. And we actually do have a little agenda, and I do want to get to a couple of guests that have been waiting to jump on, and I will start with a technical presentation that I asked Fred Brody to do from DR Fortress, and he'll do it pretty quickly. But part of the educational process that we've been going through is not only understanding about digital equity and things like middle mile, last mile, but what are some of the key infrastructure pieces that all this fiber optics connects to? And so I wanted Fred to share a little bit about what he does at DR Fortress, what role a data center plays in the infrastructure of enabling the internet. And that's a little bit for not only the broadband Hui, but attendees here to maybe get a sense as to the key components, strategic components that are part of the infrastructure. So Fred, are you ready to share your screen and go over your presentation? Fred, are you, I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, I've known Bert for a couple of decades. I know he's not old, but he is. He called me while I was driving home last week. Hey, can you do a presentation next week? I'm like, all right. Can you put together like 6 slides? I'm like, okay. So I'm gonna kind of preempt this with, it's gonna be what is a data center? I didn't have time to like throw together like a little educational thing. So we are a data center. So I'm gonna just explain who DR Fortress is. I got it down to 15 slides. Don't worry, most of them are pictures just so you can see the data center. But I just wanted to go over kind of like who we are, how we started. Back in 2000, there was a company called Pihana Pacific. They were building data centers throughout Asia Pacific and headquartered in Honolulu. I started working for them back then. In 2003, we merged with a company called Equinix, which is the largest data center in the world for a neutral data center. And we filled up the Honolulu site in 2005. And Equinix wasn't going to invest any more money in Honolulu because you could go to an NFL city, and before you could construct a data center, you would have it 60% full. And so me and my partners bought the facility in 2006 to become DR Fortress. We were about 12,000 square feet back then, and then we grew it. We just finished an expansion, which I'll show you in pictures. We're 65,000 square feet at 800 cabinets. So we've been growing this thing organically over the last few years. We're approaching 17 years in December. And what we are is not just a data center where, we have generators and backup systems to make sure that the customer's equipment is always on, but we're also the hub of the internet for all of Hawaii. So I have some technical slides on that, but our goal is to become the hub of the internet for Asia Pacific. And that's to make sure that we have technology for, generations to come. We got to make Hawaii matter. There needs to be a digital economy. So these undersea fiber systems that connect Hawaii to the mainland and to Asia Pacific, they don't bypass us because they've been doing that over years. And so our mission was to bring as much content and digital, commerce in Hawaii to make sure that they would actually have a reason to actually land in Hawaii. This is our internet exchange. This is what makes DR Fortress DR Fortress. We are the hub of the internet. So Hawaiian Tel and Spectrum, Verizon, all these carriers, in order to keep local traffic local, they don't peer with each other because they are competitors. They need a neutral entity to actually connect up to exchange traffic. So if you're sending an email and you're on Spectrum to somebody that's on Hawaiian Tel, that exchange point so that they can exchange networks and get that email from one network to the next, that's us. So if you look at this circle with all these routers that are surrounding, they can go from carrier to carrier, so you can send emails or get to websites, things like that. And since all the carriers are doing that here, we have all the content guys. So anything that you get on your phone, the guys that make the phone, they're all inside DR Fortress serving up content so that it's fast. And the more content that we have over here, the faster the internet becomes. And if you've seen latency, when the audio and visual video doesn't match and it looks like a kung fu movie, that's latency. So it doesn't matter how much bandwidth you have. If it has to go all the way to the mainland and back for every single click, that latency, you can't fight those physics. That's why there's, you'll see CDN peers here. So those are content delivery networks like Akamai or Fastly, or sometimes the big guys that'll actually do it themselves. They bring content into our data center so that when you're doing your social media, you're watching a video, you're getting it from their servers that sit inside our data center. And so that's what we've been doing over the last few years. I put it's not a link, but it's the peeringdb.com. If you copy and paste that and put it in the browser, you'll actually see most of the providers and, the carriers and the content providers. We have some enterprise like airlines and banks that are on there. You'll see that, I can't say it on the video because it's going to be broadcast out, but you can go to that link. It's public and you can see how many participants are on there. And then the second, or this next slide here is like just our normal traffic that goes across. You can see it's at gigabits. You're not going to get this at your house, 28 gigabits, but this is what is keeping all the local traffic local, and that's just a snapshot of how much traffic is actually being pushed through our hub. And about a data center. So most data centers do what we do. So we have, backup generators. We have 5 of them. We have 15,000 gallons of fuel. We're on the priority fuel list with HIEMA because we're the primary site for the hospitals, the airlines, financial institutions. We basically make sure that we have enough fuel on site. We can run without having to refuel at all for like 8 days. That is basically what a data center is trying to do, is make sure that you never go down, because that's how the internet works. It needs to always be on, and that's what we do. You make sure you're not in a flood zone, you're not in a tsunami inundation zone, so you minimize the amount of catastrophe that can happen to the customer's equipment. Here is our switchgear. Again, I'm going quick, but I invite you guys all to come down to visit us because it is overwhelming. Once you see, we have 1.5 megawatt system doing all of our customer loads. There's a whole nother system that does our cooling loads. These are 2 of the 5 generators that we have. You'll see of our 10,000 gallon reserve tank that we have on the side. Every generator has a 1,000-gallon belly tank on them. Security, everything's air gapped. We don't actually throw it on the internet for people to hack in and see if they can crack into our doors. We have 24/7 security guard on site. There's multiple layers before you can get to equipment. We have lots of audits. So we're ISO 27001 certified, we're PCI certified, we go through SOC 1, SOC 2 with HIPAA assertions. We have everybody that you can think of that's inside this data center that needs to pass their own audits. The state of Hawaii with IRS 1075 audits, to military that needs to pass, CMMC coming in the future, or FISMA, things of that nature. We do all that for them from a physical layer. You can see if in order to get through our lobby, if you're a customer, you can actually scan your eyes and opens the door for you, come in the lobby, and then there's a security guard that will sign you in for the day. Any person that wants to go into the actual data center, it's dual authentication. So they'll sign in, they'll give their ID, they'll get a card in return, scan their eyes, and then put their card in. That will let them through the second door. The third door, just need your eyes again, and then voila, they're in the facility. This is one of the sections of our 65,000 square feet, just to show you what a data center looks like. Here's down one of the hot aisle rows and another section of the data center. And then we just finished an expansion. So this is another entry point with iris recognition and card to get into the facility. This is what it looks like. Again, trying to go quickly here, but again, I offer a tour for anybody that wants to come down. You can get in touch with Bert. He knows how to set up tours for us. This is another angle. And then lastly, this is an expansion we did back in 2021. It's full now. That's why we had to do the previous expansion. And again, I wanted to go quickly because Bert said I only had 10 minutes and 6 slides, and I went for 15 slides. So I wanted to open that with questions or comments from the group.
Any questions for Fred? This is kind of education.
Bert's on mute, so I can't hear anything that's going on if there is a question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Okay. So questions, anybody for Fred? This is kind of a key piece of the infrastructure that enables the internet. This is where a lot of the content comes from. So I wanted to give Fred an opportunity to share, what DR Fortress does, so that as we continue our work, in infrastructure as well as equity, you kind of get to know some of the key pieces of the puzzle. So Fred, mahalo. Any questions for Fred? Oh, what? Dan, are you raising your hand?
Sure, why not? Cost per gigabyte to get data to and from the mainland.
So Dan has a question. Cost per gigabyte to get traffic to and from the mainland.
Or maybe terabyte. Gigabyte's too small.
Okay, so I have a disclaimer. Every price that I give you is specifically for anybody that's inside our data center. So we're a neutral data center. We have many carriers. We have Hawaiian Tel and Spectrum, Lumen, AT&T, Verizon, Hurricane Electric, Cogent. So there's lots of choices inside our data center. We have like over a dozen carriers that you can buy internet from inside the data center. So if you were to buy like a gig connection at your office, that would be like $2,000-$3,000 or more. Inside our data center, that same gig connection would be around $400. So what you could get for a gig at your office, you could probably get 10 gig cheaper inside my data center, mainly because we have all the carriers sitting next to you, vying for your business. So that's what happens in a neutral data center. You're on mute again. I can't hear what's going on.
Okay, Fred, thanks. Mahalo for joining us today, and we'll definitely have you back, because I do want you to eventually give us a little presentation on what the Hawaii cable landing looks like. It has very, very similar to this, but it's actually where the Trans-Pacific Fiber cables land and transition from the wet plant to the dry plant. But we'll get into that later on. I do want to kind of get back onto our agenda. Fred, Hey, mahalo for joining us.
Definitely.
So next up, I wanted to, I'm hoping, Shayna's still on. Shayna?
I am, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So, what I wanted to give Shayna a chance to do is not only announce some of the winners of a Hawaiian Tel Digital Equity Grant Program, but I think you're also opening it up for a second round. But I apologize if I stole your thunder. But Shayna, why don't you go ahead and share who won some of the awards from Hawaiian Tel?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for anyone that missed my introduction earlier, I'm Shayna Flannery. I work with Hawaiian Telecom and the Bell Charitable Foundation. We do nonprofit grants throughout the state of Hawaii and other regional areas that we provide services in the contiguous states. But we have actually given 10 grants to Hawaii-based organizations. 6 of them were just very recent. So we have all of that information on our website. I'm happy to provide more information to anyone that's interested. But yeah, we just did a round of grants specifically for digital equity in Hawaii. So we had 6 grant winners that really spanned a lot of different topics within digital equity, everything from telehealth to digital access and device access for students and elderly communities and everything in between. So it's been really, really exciting to see all of the work that you guys are doing. And thank you, by the way, for letting me join this group of incredibly ambitious and hardworking people. I appreciate the time. So I'm going to share my screen really quick and just show you a snapshot of our website, if I can. And I'll use this just to talk through the grant cycle that we have open right now. So our application is actually open now. It opened on October 1st. And the way that our foundation works is we fund 2 of our pillars at a time. So you'll see our priorities here. We also refer to them as our pillars. The 2 pillars that we'll be funding throughout October are specifically economic and social mobility and environmental sustainability. Obviously, a lot of you do work in the technology area and digital equity. A lot of the economic and social mobility grants that we fund overlap into that area. So I really encourage you to take a look at that pillar and see if that fits. If it's not a great fit, our technology funding is actually in the month of April. It'll be April of 2024. So would love for all of you to apply then as well. And if you have any questions about where you fit into these pillars and more information about what we look for in those, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or other folks from Hawaiian Telecom. They can get you connected with me as well. So really what we're looking for is small nonprofit organizations that are doing really great work on the ground. We're looking for the grassroots organizations that are making a big impact in their neighborhoods and really connecting with citizens around the state. So we fund organizations of all sizes, but really try to focus on the small grassroots neighborhood organizations. Our funding is typically $25,000 grants, and we don't have an exact number that we'll be giving out in October, but it will likely be around 6 organizations that will receive that funding. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, I'll show you where our application is as well. So this is our website. I'll send the link in the chat. If you just go to our grants page and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the link right here for the grant application. And there's lots of good information about eligibility and how to apply that I would encourage you all to look at here as well.
So Shayna, I thought you were also going to announce who won the round that just recently closed.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Let me stop sharing my screen and I will pull that up.
And I'll definitely share the link to sign up and apply for those grants when we put out the notes for the Broadband week. But I do want to give Shanna a chance to showcase some, or at least announce some of the winners from the last round.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we
Since our inception in April of 2022, we've given a total of 10 grants to organizations in Hawaii. 6 of those were just in that digital equity grant round that just concluded. So the 6 organizations that were funded through that round were Hawaii Care Choices, Palama Settlement, Center for Tomorrow's Leaders, Hawaii Kids Can, Acton Digital Academy, and Purple Maya Foundation. So like I said, it really ranges in the work that they do, but all of the programs were really, really exciting. We're thrilled to partner with each and every one of them.
Well, thanks, Shana. I really appreciate it. And again, one of the things that we try to do is identify grant opportunities, encourage the organizations that are part of the Broadband Hui to take part in it. And again, it's not only federal monies, it could be state monies, it could be philanthropic monies, and thanks to the Bell Charitable Foundation, this is where this particular grant money comes from. So, mahalo, Shana. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, we're coming to the close of our 177th Broadband Hui meeting, and I really appreciate everybody. Well, of course, I had a captive audience, so we couldn't leave. But, I really appreciate all of your attention and commitment to this effort. We will have the next Broadband Hui call on the 11th. I do want to thank several more people who were part of the sponsorship team, and we've got Kamehameha Schools. They were a major sponsor of ours. We also had Spectrum, and I wanted to have Spectrum announce some of their winners for their grant program. We'll do that next week. And then, of course, Ocean Networks was also a big sponsor of this Broadband Hoike. And hopefully in the very near future we'll get Ocean Networks to do a presentation about what it is that they have been awarded in terms of the project with the university, which is funded by the U.S. Treasury. It's called the Capital Projects Fund. So, any last things? I do want to quickly say that don't forget the whole purpose of this Broadband Hui was to talk about the digital equity plan. We're into the public comment period. I know all of you read it already. But please submit your comments. We will have, and I'll probably repeat this next week, but on the 13th, we're going to be at Key Project in Waihole. On the 19th, we're going to be at the Molokai Library, Molokai. And then on the 23rd, we're going to be at the Office Department of Housing in Hilo. So we're going to be conducting more public comment opportunities and kind of go over the plan, which thankfully you all folks, all of you folks were a part of that as well. So with that, any... Oh, sure, yeah, Uncle Pat. We gotta get another red shirt.
Gotta get another.
All right, Uncle Pat. So Uncle Pat is one of our big-time supporters on the Big Island. And well, you got the mic.
We know you know how to use it.
Well, really, I really don't know why I'm here. I wore this red shirt, but I don't belong to any of these guys. I don't know Ron, I don't know Doreen, Dan, and Paul. I just happen to be sitting at the table, but it truly is a blessing. For me, Kaua'i is special. I haven't been here for about 30 years. But this is where my dad was born. My family comes from Kaua'i. So I'm blessed to be back home. But this was this young lady that got involved in the broadband bill ACP. But truly for someone like Senate President Kaua'i, one of our commissioners at Hawaiian Home was just that. The ACP was identified to help Native Hawaiians on the homestead. And I just happened to be a product of the homestead. So, and then she encouraged me by saying that you can get $75 back. So, being Hawaiian, $75 is really, really good. You know, when you're on a fixed income, that helps. But it bothered me that we, as Native Hawaiians, knew nothing about it. So I'm not here to blame anybody here. I'll blame someone else. This is not the place to blame. But I just need to again thank Jackie really for being this wonderful hostess that's done that. And Kaua'i is just like I imagine why my dad, my ohana was from here. So the correlation between Kaua'i being the oldest island and Niihau is just that. So I am blessed that I do know I have family that, well, I mean, they say migrated, they just swam across the go to Kika. But, and then how I got to Hilo was Hawaiians, if any of you had the opportunity to look at the Kaua'i petition, so I raised my hat to all the women that are here today, because from the perspective of a Hawaiian myself, and that's my own perspective, but it was the women that created the Kaua'i petition. They were the Huikala Aina, and they gathered 32,000 signatures in 1898. Just think about that. Broadband was nowhere around. How did they travel island to island to gather 30,000 signatures? So when you put that into perspective, it was the women that did it. So they had to go by canoe, horseback, walk to gather that. And then jump on a ship and take that petition to Washington, D.C. So it is it's an integral part of our history, and that's the correlation I can see with communications and broadband, why it's important. Because now we can gather 30,000 signatures sitting here in this group right now for any purpose that we want. So again, it's my pleasure, my honor to be here, and I can thank anyone, Bert, but especially to she's mine. She's by Kaua'i hippie, so. And, no, not that. I'm sorry. But again, these are nice things.
Again, mahalo, Pat. Thanks, Amber. Mahalo, everybody, for joining us on the 177th convening of the Broadband Hui. I will see you all next week. Until then, you stay safe and you all stay awesome. Aloha.
We're going to have a 30-minute break. We've got refreshments. Please don't stray too far. We've got breakout groups coming up.